Basic training broke me down and rebuilt me from the ground up. They gave me my clothes, my schedule, my mission. My purpose wasn't a question, it was stitched right there on my chest. In my rank, in my tribe, we had our own language, a dark humor only we understood, a bond that was unshakable. Every sacrifice mattered because it was for the guy standing next to you. I lived to lead a team, protect them, serve my country. That was my purpose. That was my identity. And with every year that passed, the pride and intensity only grew stronger. Life was structured. Life was clear. I thought that soldier was the only me there would ever be. But September 23rd, 1988, I did one of the hardest things in the world. I earned the right to wear the uniform. But believe it or not, that wasn't the hardest part. Craziest challenge wasn't boot camp. It wasn't ruck marches, field exercises, or even combat. The hardest challenge came years later when I took that uniform off for the last time. Because when that uniform went into the closet, it wasn't just clothes. My entire identity vanished with it. The military isn't some 9-to-5 job. It becomes who you are. It's in your skin, your blood, your bones. And when it's gone, you face a crisis nobody prepares you for. Today, I wanted to share how I faced that crisis and rebuilt my life from zero. This isn't just for veterans. This is for every pastor, leader, every man who's ever looked in the mirror and thought, who am I now? In 1988, I was 20 years old when I left for boot camp. My dad gave me an ultimatum, and deep down, I was already looking for something bigger. Brotherhood and a crazy mission, a purpose. Basic training broke me down and rebuilt me from the ground up. They gave me my clothes, my schedule, my mission. My purpose wasn't a question, it was stitched right there on my chest. In my rank, in my tribe, we had our own language, a dark humor only we understood, a bond that was unshakable. Every sacrifice mattered because it was for the guy standing next to you. I lived to lead a team, protect them, serve my country. That was my purpose. That was my identity. And with every year that passed, the pride and intensity only grew stronger. Life was structured. Life was clear. I thought that soldier was the only me there would ever be. But then came the last day. My last day in the Army was wild. I turned in my gear, signed a stack of paperwork, and just walked out. The mission, the tribe, structure, gone in 24 hours. I remember standing in formation and realizing this was it. I walked away. Sure, I might have gotten a ribbon or two, but truth is, I'd only been with that unit for about 18 months. And for the last 3, I had been on detail at PLDC on Fort Riley, driving a 5-ton. I wasn't even fully invested by the time I left. Walking away felt strange. Tracy was working at K-State. We were living in Junction City, and suddenly I had to get a job. After 7 years of combat engineer life, I figured construction was the move. But man, that first job was brutal. I went from leading troops in high-pressure missions to working for a cruel boss who yelled, belittled, and treated me like dirt. I was promised a role as an equipment operator, but it never happened. Instead, I was invisible, broken, and back at the bottom. I hated my job. I was attending a small church, helped a little, but truth, I didn't know how to relate to anyone. I felt like an outsider in civilian life. The question haunted me every day. Who am I without the uniform? Job interviews were awkward. In the Army, it was always we, Out here, it had to be I, but I didn't feel right. The very skills that made me a rock solid soldier, honesty, decisiveness, grit, didn't seem to fit in this world. It was like being a grizzly bear trained for war and then being asked to juggle balloons at a kid's birthday party, surrounded by people but completely alone. That emptiness is dangerous. Without mission, without tribe, the days feel hollow. And when life gets hollow, depression, anger, and despair creep in. For so many of us, this is the hardest battle we'll ever fight. And we fight it long after the war is over. If you felt that emptiness, if you know exactly what I'm talking about, you're not alone. Hit that subscribe button because we're building a brotherhood for men who've been there. For me, the turning point didn't happen overnight. It took years. When I got out, I went to school to become an aircraft mechanic. I worked there for 3 years. Then I jumped into ministry, youth pastor, then senior pastor, about 6 years worth. After that, I went back to school again. I became a PE teacher, and I worked in a youth center, and finally ended up at the VA. Now, looking back, I was always redefining my mission every few years, trying to find something that would fill the hole left by the uniform. But no matter what role I took on, I never really figured it out. And then came the crash. Burnout. I wound up in the hospital from pushing too hard, running on empty, trying to prove myself over and over again. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't chasing a job. I was chasing an identity. And no job, no title was ever going to give me that. Now, with a little more age, a little more grit, and a whole lot of scars, I finally found a steady purpose. Not because the world handed it to me, but because God walked me through the fire until I was ready to own it. Rebuilding my mission wasn't easy. Honestly, it's been one of the hardest battles I've ever fought. And I'm still fighting it every day. Deep down, I think I always knew what I wanted to do, but I had no idea how to go about it. It took me, and I mean me, to build this. Not a job, not another mentor, boss, or expert. It took me shutting out the noise and deciding who I was. I had to cut through the voices that said, "You can't do that on YouTube. You're not a good communicator. You talk too long." Here's the truth. Your new mission won't be handed to you. You've got to fight for it. You've got to dig it out of the dirt, brick by brick, and claim it as your own. For me, that's Redeployed, serving wounded men, pastors, and veterans who feel disqualified, reminding them you're not finished. You're just being reassigned. The uniform was a chapter. Yeah, it was a big one. But it wasn't the whole book. My identity isn't just soldier, pastor, or worker. It's a redeployed man on a lifelong mission. Taking off the uniform changes everything. It can leave you lost, broken, but it can also be the start of something bigger. It's a chance to rebuild, to forge a new mission, to step into a life that honors your past, but doesn't stay stuck in it. If this helped you, share it with a veteran or brother who needs it. Subscribe for more Redeployed content on faith, PTSD, recovery, and spiritual warfare. Then grab the free 7-day soul reset devotional. It's a simple tool to reset when trauma and triggers hit hardest. And if you're ready for a brotherhood, join the Outpost. It's a squad of wounded warriors finding healing together. Because you're not disqualified. You are redeployed.